Anyway, I'm Virginia Hogan, Speaker Series Chair and Co-Chair with Catherine Lifson of our Education and Outreach. And I'm delighted to introduce a former member of the Education and Outreach program, a former member of our board, and who handled the newsletter for some time, and who is now full-time tenure-track faculty at the JC. Capri's got her bachelor's in botany, then basically at UC Davis, and then went on to do her master's at Sonoma State. And in fact, Dave and I were just talking about this. I was telling you your master's was about herbivory, but was it elk herbivory? Okay, it was elk herbivory at Point Reyes National Seashore. So now she's involved in the JC's Biodiversity Program, which is an exciting project. And she has two students who are participating with her, Elizabeth and Crimson. I should have remembered Crimson. Sorry, I apologize. They had dinner with us and we had a wonderful time talking. But I'm going to turn it over to them because I think you're going to be impressed. And it's a wonderful model for the communities here in Sonoma County.
All right. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Virginia. Over the years, I've seen her give amazing introductions. She always makes us speakers feel really seen, really welcome. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here to tell you guys about what we're doing on the Santa Rosa Junior College campus. Myself and Jen Palladini are the co-founders. Today, we've got Crimson and Elizabeth speaking, and we'll also pull up Jane and Nicole, also board members, also associated with the JC, to speak in a little bit later on the talk. Oh.
Nice logo
on the presentation. They kind of
Just a second while we figure out changing slides.
if you go back to present view.
Oh, I see it. There we go. Okay, so what is the Campus Biodiversity Initiative? That's what we've called this thing. This is a collaborative effort to deepen our understanding about the value of biodiversity. This is an effort to create student opportunities. This is an effort for us to engage with campus biodiversity. We want to also provide research and career development opportunities for folks at the junior college. And this can be through independent course-based research and stewardship. There's a lot of words on this slide, so I attempted to create a visual that might simplify some of our goals. However, this doesn't quite do it because everything we're doing with the Campus Biodiversity Initiative is student-centered. It's creating opportunities for students, and everything overlaps. As we are trying to deepen our knowledge about what biodiversity is on campus, as we are finding ways to build community, as we are cultivating a living lab and outdoor classroom, this is all through student-led opportunities or through internships, course-based research opportunities, independent projects. So this visual works, but not perfectly because a lot of these overlap. We found this arboreal salamander on one of our work days. Little cutie on campus. We can't do this alone. We have many partners. These are some of the ones on campus. We also have many partners off campus, including the California Plant Society. The biology department is a huge supporter of this endeavor. Jen and I are both in that department. And the environmental horticulture program, where Nicole is. The Avanzando grant, the third bullet on this list, has been our main financial supporter. However, this is a federally funded grant, so this is threatened We also work incredibly closely with facilities to make sure that any changes we're making to the campus grounds work with their sustainability goals and with their maintenance and long-term planning. And what's really wonderful is those folks value biodiversity. And so they're happy to help us. And you'll see some of this later on. But from this list, you might also notice that we've partnered with the Native American Center, the Intertribal Student Union, the Native American Faculty and Staff Association, because part of biodiversity and native plants is thinking about how this land has been stewarded over the years and thinking about traditional ecological knowledge and multiple ways that we can deepen our understanding about the native plants, these native ecosystems. And so at the beginning of every event, we do a land acknowledgement. And so much of what we're trying to do is summed up in the junior college's land acknowledgement. And this is so important to part of our goals as well. Honoring with gratitude the land and the people who have stewarded it over the generations, past and present. In fact, 2 of our interns are Indigenous. One is Kashaya Pomo, too. With these partnerships, we were really grateful to have these folks apply, and they were wonderful candidates. And so we have this beautiful connection and community on campus. And by offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm Indigenous sovereignty and will work to hold Santa Rosa Junior College more accountable to the needs of American Indian and Indigenous peoples, the last sentence of this. To this end, our new garden, which I'll tell you about towards the end, will include basketry plants in collaboration with Pomo Weaver Society, with the hopes that with some help with tending, they may be able to also collect from this garden. So that's one way we're trying to walk the walk. So biodiversity. I'm probably preaching to the choir, but why are native plants valuable? My goodness, I fear that outside of these doors or outside of those tuning in via Zoom, this isn't talked about much or isn't well known. How important native plants are that have co-evolved with native pollinators and insects that support a suite, numerous amphibians or reptiles or birds, and thus mammals. Whereas that lawn or those few cute little shrubs in your yard support only a couple of things. Not only are native plants important, but wild areas in general are threatened. We need to protect wild areas, absolutely. But urban rewilding is something we can do today, right now. We can create safe havens in the concrete jungle by being intentional about what plants we plant. And so that is part of what we're also trying to share with folks who don't quite realize that a little manicured portion of campus is not serving as many organisms as this little corner that's crazy and wild and beautiful. Here is our annual garden bed. Annuals are tough for grounds facility to take care of. So we have committed to taking care of this small little area for annual flowers. And so here we see the success of our planting from last season. So I said earlier that everything that we're trying to do is student-centered. Here is my attempt to modify that original. Like everything we're doing is to create opportunities and development and trying to help students with experience, practical skills, soft skills, leadership, taking on responsibility. And as we do that, we're building community. We're working on this outdoor classroom living lab, and we're all learning more about what's on campus. Is that changing over time? One of the ways we do that is through course-based research projects and stewardship. 7 classes across multiple semesters now have embedded biodiversity content into their course. And this is really equitable because everyone in the class gets a chance to gain these skills and walk away with something on their resume. You didn't have to know someone or other's grandpa's like mentor to get a role. You don't have to have extra time. These folks have already carved out time, committed to a course on campus. There's no extra driving. This is a really awesome way to help folks gain some practical skills and learn about what's happening on campus. In this photo, we have seedlings, Phacelia californica and ranunculus, buttercup, grown either in peat, like sphagnum moss, or coconut coir. Peat is the industry standard for germinating seeds, but it threatens peat bogs in the boreal area. So we're wondering, can coconut coir suffice? Here we have some majors botany students collecting insects for a mark and recapture study. I think that's you, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Here they are marking the bees with these cute little pens. And they'll let them go, and then they'll do some recapturing a little bit later, and based on how many they recapture with the mark, they can kind of estimate and surmise population sizes. Don't worry, Elizabeth has plenty of time to talk, so I'm not stealing too much from her. In our course-based projects, most students end up, it culminates in some kind of scientific communication, sometimes a PowerPoint presentation, but also as poster presentations. Here in botany for non-majors, it's a little more casual mini poster presentations, but you can see those down on those benches there. But for some, they opt into the SRJC poster conference and have a larger print. These are students from introductory bio who were interested in biodiversity topic and chose that for their project. And really proud of them for getting up there. Here we have Elizabeth again and Zoe also presenting on some of their work in their botany majors course. And something else that we're starting to develop is proposals. Having students develop proposals, fresh ideas about how we can monitor, measure, and thinking about experimental design. And what's really fun is that maybe they develop this proposal and maybe next semester, the next cohort implements it. Just like with those Phacelia and ranunculus grown in peat and coconut coir, they were grown and germinated in one semester, and then the next semester students planted those out into gardens with another layer of experimentation. And so we're trying to have this handoff and this connectivity from project to project. And we have a dark-eyed junco nest found in that annual garden bed, found by a student, photographed by a student as well. That was such a fun one to find. Another huge way that we are helping students gain experience and practical skills is through internships. And our goal, our hope is to provide paid internships. These folks are putting in time and effort, and it is our goal to pay these folks at or better than minimum wage. We have some interns on the Santa Rosa campus. We have Schoen Farm. We have volunteer interns for the web development team and the Buzz internship. Last year, we had Jasmine and Justice. They helped to tend our native plant gardens, lead our volunteer days, and took on an independent project. Justice looked at hummingbirds on campus, and Jasmine was looking at gulls. There's Jasmine next to her poster, and here's Justin presenting at the conference. And this year, we have 4 interns. Avanzando was able to fund, and the biology department was able to fund one, and Avanzando 3. And so we have Jane from our own board, Rami, Yana, there's Jen Palladini, and the other coordinator for this program, and Johnny. Johnny and Rami are hands on the plants, tending the gardens, sheet mulching, pulling out invasive species, and taking on leadership roles on our volunteer days. Yana and I are working on a project gathering Indigenous information about some of the plants we'll be planting. Yana is Kashaya Pomo, and we're really thrilled to tap into her expertise and include that into some more communication that I'll talk about in a little bit.
Well, could you tell me that center, is that a wildflower display or what?
Yeah. On the SRJC campus, we have a green living fair all about sustainability. We had a table, and Jen collected a bunch of native plants and had some little info cards. We had some pinned insects and a few cones, including some cones that only open by fire, Saratni, just for folks to come by and hear about the native plants and the value of those. Yeah, thanks for asking. We also have Buzz interns. Here we have Crimson presenting at the Buzz conference. Crimson is going to tell you a little bit about that arm of our internship, of what she did for her project.
Hi, so I have had the awesome opportunity to attend several of the biodiversity internship days, despite not being an intern myself. But one of the things that I have done is participate in the National Science Foundation Buzz internship, which has been also very helpful in addition to the biodiversity internship with being able to share our data. There are 4,000 bee species, native bee species in North America, with 1,600 of them being in California. And I'm sure it's not any surprise, I'm sure you all have heard it before, that unfortunately our native bees are in a pretty big decline for the last several decades. And there has been a lot less research done on the West Coast than there has on the East Coast. And so the National Science Foundation has funded this undergraduate research opportunity, focusing specifically on native California bees. And it's been nice because all of this data that we've been collecting, we are able to share and maybe have some of the plants that seem to be the most visited by native bees being planted on campus some more. So of our sampling sites, we had 6 different sites on campus that we were sampling from, most of which do include at least several native species already on them, but there are other sites on campus that do include more ornamental species and things like that. And so myself and the other interns would take our big insect nets, and we would go and we would sample bees that were actively pollinating to be able to collect that data on the floral host. And we would euthanize the bees and be able to pin them and identify them, so that way we can make connections between which specific genera of bee are visiting which specific flowers, and also identifying the floral hosts as well. And then once we have all of that data collected, we're able to submit it to the National Science Foundation, where they're able to create a large scale database on all of the different community colleges across California working on this project. So the other really awesome thing about this internship being at the JC is we are also able to collect at Pepperwood Preserve. And so we have that as a nice kind of basis for comparison with a more natural site. And so these are the different genera that we found this year in 2025, with orange being Pepperwood and blue being the JC. And as you can see, there are definitely a lot of genera that we found only at one location or another. And so we're able to also kind of use that information as well to determine what may be causing that difference. This is showing all of the data from just the JC last year. So all on the left here, I have all the different floral host species that we sampled from. And on the right, showing all of the different genera that we sampled on campus and being able to see the connections between them. The 2 biggest floral hosts that we sampled from this year was the California poppy and then the Oregon sunshine or woolly sunflower. were the biggest two floral hosts that we sampled from this year. And then that little other section in dark blue there are plants that we had only sampled from once. And of course, my personal favorite section about this is getting to look at all of these cute little bees. So we've got some awesome little pictures for you guys of some of the bees under microscopes.
Thanks, Crimson. So you heard about our goals. You heard about opportunities for students. The next thing we want to tell you about is our volunteer work days. This is another way that we're making opportunities for students, building community, cultivating that learning, that living lab and outdoor classroom. And I'm going to have Elizabeth tell you all about this.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm Elizabeth. I'm an environmental science student at the JC, a member of Biology Club, and one of the most frequent workers of our volunteer work days. So our volunteer stewardship days, what are they? It is just one work day a month during the spring and fall semesters, but don't be fooled, we do so much work. So it's about more or less than 25 members of our student faculty from all different kinds of majors and backgrounds, where we come and we're the ones who are doing the firsthand work in cultivating these gardens. After 2 very long hours of being bent over or doing some wheelbarrowing, we get to have a nice reward of a donut. So over the past months of these stewardship days, I'd say an infinite number of donuts have been eaten and enjoyed by everyone. So if I were to describe these volunteer work days, I would say that it's students building community while cultivating the native gardens. So there's actually a picture of some of my classmates, and like I said, shoveling and wheelbarrowing and doing that manual invasive species removal. Like Capri said, there are some educational and community benefits that come from these work days due to the initiative. So this initiative has taught students about the importance of native species and how to develop eco-friendly habits, especially on campus. It has helped students feel more connected to nature, and they have taken pride in protecting the open spaces around them, as we are on campus on an almost daily basis. Here's a picture of some work that was done actually this annual bed. We removed almost everything in a single work day. And that's what it looks like after those months of growing. There's a bigger picture of that annual bed that Caprice was mentioning. So this is some first-hand account from some students, and that's a picture of a pipeline swallowtail that was found in one of those gardens. So something that I had not expected from this experience was the enjoyment. I've done a fair amount of gardening, and it is often grueling work. Today, however, I was surrounded by friends and people in good spirits, all motivated towards the same goal. It was generally refreshing, and I would happily do it again. That's from a botany student named Cade. And here's Jose in one of our March 2025 work days where it was rainy and we were provided with some awesome ponchos. It was great to see the direct impact of our work, and I left with a sense of accomplishment, knowing that we are contributing to the health of the campus environment. I'm excited to stay involved and keep learning through these kinds of experiences. And it's amazing because I have met students who are not even taking any bio classes, and they come because they see the posters or they've seen the work that we've done, and they're curious. And once they start asking questions, some of them keep coming back. All right, thank you.
So all of these things are overlapping, and we're cultivating a living lab and outdoor classroom in a lot of spaces. But what I'm really excited to share with you all is our new grant to build a new garden. This is the Randolph Newman Cultural Enrichment Grant. We received about $5,000. Most of it's going to irrigation to plant a new garden in a 20,000 square foot mulched area where Beck Hall, a chemistry building, used to stand, but is no longer. And so it's just this huge mulched area. I'll show you some photos in a second. And including this irrigation that will likely be temporary to get our plants established. Some of those funds will also go towards paying for speakers for 3 workshops. One on the topic of gardening for biodiversity and the value of biodiversity. Another will be Silver Galetto from the Pomo Weaver Society has agreed to host a second workshop on indigenous uses of plants basketry. And we'll hold a third for the connection between nature and creativity and mental health. Some of that funding will also go towards creating signs, and these signs will have QR codes that will link you to a website that will highlight student projects, student artwork, student plant profiles created on each of these plants, photography, perhaps poetry. More on our future dreams in a little bit. This area, as you can see, it currently just is mulched, and facilities needs to consider runoff. Is very excited to hear that the first thing we want to plant are native bunch grasses. And we have big ideas, big dreams for this space. Irrigation is installed. We still need to run some drip above surface, but everything below ground is completed. And so we're really thrilled that facilities has been able to make time to, out of their busy schedule, to get out the ditching machine and run these lines. And we have student crews also help when we can. We will have a couple quadrants. We're very excited about what we can do with this space. Experiments and long-term plots. This is primarily will be kind of a meadow type space, but we do have some understory as well. We're excited to maybe have wood rounds for seating. We're looking at picnic benches and how expensive those are. We're thinking about how we can make this a classroom and a place where we can do work or sit or learn. And so Yana and I are gathering information about some of the plants to put on those signs, and those signs will direct visitors to a website that will highlight student work. And so we have currently an SRJC alumna, Sarah Cornett, who is working on the website. Here is our mock-up so far. She's asking for feedback, and we also plan to have students currently taking botany courses create some of these plant profiles as well. And this is where I'd like to call Nicole and Jane up to tell us about what they're doing out at Schoen Farm, because nearly 100% of the plants going in this new garden are coming from these two.
Well, I am Nicole Schlumberger, and I teach plant propagation at Santa Rosa Junior College. And our propagation class takes place at Schoen Farm. We have this amazing propagation facility. And I've been really trying to shift our classes so that the plants that we're growing have a direct home. So I think we're going to be growing over 130 species for this particular project, and probably about 4,000 or so plants are going to go both to the Beck project and then throughout the JC as a whole, as we try to establish more of these native plants on campus. So our students, these are grasses that my students grew in this restoration style leach tubes. Yeah, all of the sowing propagation so far has been done either during class time or with the help of Jane, who's been this amazing intern for both this semester and this coming semester. You want to talk about what you've...
Sure.
Yeah.
More pictures. Yeah. Some more plant pictures. Yes, I am a propagation intern. I've been a student at Schoen Farm and of Nicole's for a few years now. I think I've now participated in propagation class 3 times, and now I'm hanging out in it a 4th time as this intern. But it's been really exciting for me because I learned all these practical skills in Nicole's classes. And now it's a much bigger scale, and we work together on the planning and the organization and the species and the timing and all of these other aspects, the monitoring and the watering and the numbers and the containers and the media, which has been a fascinating challenge for me. But we're getting to a really cool spot now where we have tables of little propagules and know that they'll be ready to go in the ground relatively soon.
Yeah, we got some last semester. We got some perennial grasses that went into the ground, into those annual beds. There were some perennial grasses my students grew, and then I think we'll have a lot of grasses for that front entrance. Yeah, and it's been a really cool process for the students to see that the plants they're growing, they're learning the course outline skills, but then those plants are going to this very specific, tangible outcome that they can continue to use over years and see grow.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, not only are there plants going to seed that new garden, but we already have put them in our native gardens across campus. We're really proud to have shown grown plants. So grateful for all that you guys are doing. We've tried a little bit of propagation in our bio classes and we have no idea what we're doing. We don't have the right facilities. We don't have misters. And so we try, but you guys really, we couldn't do this without you guys. Okay, so future goals. We're nearing the end here. Jacques Cousteau said, we only protect what we love. We only love what we understand, and we only understand what we are taught or what we learn, I like to say. And I think that this really connects with what we're doing here. We're trying to teach and share information with others, and we end up connecting with nature and with each other, and we end up wanting to protect and be engaged with nature and native plants and native animals. This is a fun find. This single leaf onion, Allium unifolium, we found through some of our student projects and some of our research to be one of the best native floral hosts for pollinators on campus. And so with that knowledge, we'll move this to some new places and propagate it and put it in other parts of campus where we know that there's not very many hosts.
They have some of that for sale.
Maybe one last one.
I got one. I think there's one left.
The audience is interested in purchasing. It's a cutie. It will take over an area though. It's floriferous and makes a ton of seeds, and but it's a cutie. So some of our goals. There's Jen collecting some seeds from Lastenia Goldfields. We want to, through student projects, right? Everything is we can't do this ourselves, and we want we want students to get experience and be involved in this. And so through student projects, we hope to find baseline data of what biodiversity is currently on campus. We want to see if that changes over time. We want to compare native areas to maybe non-native areas. We could be using iNaturalist and CalFlora data better as well. I think with this new garden, we're thinking about long-term monitoring plots and experimentation. And another dream of ours are cover boards across campus to look at amphibians and reptiles. So we have some ideas. So we're seeing if we can do these things. We also want to expand by partnering with arts and humanities. You know, we're strong over on the STEM side. We're thinking about transects and quadrats and measuring and observing. But a piece of this that we also know is so important is the art of observation and slowing down and really seeing. And the scientific process is so similar to the artistic process. And we really want to connect with maybe course-based projects in art and literature and photography courses or independent projects. Like I said, we want to highlight student work in the arts on those plant profiles, perhaps, or maybe in other physical signage out on campus. These were drawn by Crimson. Yeah. Another partnership, another thing that's in the works in collaboration with the Virtual Field, which is a collaboration of marine labs and field stations, is 3D videos taken at the equinox and solstice 4 times a year to see the seasonal change in an area. And this typically happens in natural systems, but I'm associated with this group, and they've expressed an interest in urban ecology. And I said, well, I have a from zero to something project that we could monitor. So I've already gone out. This is the camera they let me borrow. This is in that mulched area, and taken a couple 3D videos. And I thought I might show them to you. However, there's nothing yet. It'll be a little bit more exciting when it changes. But with the audio, you can hear the freeway, but you can also hear birds. I'm really excited to see how that changes once the garden is planted. But once we're all set, those will be hosted on this website, and we'll also host them on our website as well. And there's also potential for ecosystem exploration videos, not 360 videos, but kind of walking through the garden and maybe comparing what it was to what it is in a couple of years. We hope that you guys will support the SRJC Campus Biodiversity Initiative. We need partners both on and off campus. We want consulting and advice, and I think that is currently what we're getting from the Native Plant Society, but other members of society, people watching, people here, you guys might be a part of really cool organizations in the county that can, that we might be able to lean on when we need it. Financial support, we are not sure what will happen with Apanzando and that federally funded program on campus. Our department has a small amount of funds, but not much. And so currently, like financial support, you know, we're not quite set up to just take donations, but we're working on that. But currently, you know, to support an intern, $3,000 supports that student for a year for 3 to 5 hours a week at or above minimum wage. So we're trying to find ways that we can help. That's we really love to support our students. But you know, as this garden, as our grant money for that little $5,000 for that garden is used up, maintaining and continuing that larger garden and some of these other spaces on campus, we're going to need to get creative on our financial side. But third, networking for students. We would love to be connected so that we can help students find the next step or gain more mentorship or more job potentially here in the county. And so I'm happy to be here today to connect with some of y'all if any of these line up with what you guys can offer. So thank you for coming out and hearing about SRJC's Campus Biodiversity Initiative. There's Jen and I, our coordinators. You can email us if you have any questions. And check out our website if you're curious. Thank you. Yeah, Virginia. Yes, we do have a biological sciences account, but we currently don't have the infrastructure to partition funds for this alone. We're working on that. That's what we'd like to set up, but we don't have that quite arranged just yet. I hope, yeah. Thank you.
Chris, if you get any more questions, would you mind repeating them?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Jack. Yeah.
Are they a long-term project?
Great. The question was, why are cover boards a long-term project? A cover board, I should say, is like a piece of wood or even metal, flattish, that's laid down on the ground that organisms will come to for to find a protected place. Yeah, to be covered. And this could be a long-term project because we could check these during the active season for years and years and years. And if we all of a sudden see no more salamanders or a reduction in snakes, we could maybe see if that has something to do with something happening on campus or nearby, or we could try to connect it. Yeah, great question. Yeah, Liz.
Support event from the junior college and the grounds crew.
Support from the junior college. We have a budget of 0. We don't have a budget. Grounds crew, it is, there's no financial connection, but collaboration. We work together to, they already need to be taking care of these spaces. And so my understanding is that they're augmenting their planning to fit with some of our goals. And then the work we do helps them. In an area, you know, if our grounds crew is feeling pretty swamped in an area, and we can hear that and there's this native garden that needs some tending, then we can focus our efforts over there to help relieve some of the pressure on them. So we don't want to take their work from them though. So we're in collaboration to make sure that this is a collaboration. Yeah.
That's the word I was gonna use. Sounds good.
A question from the zoo. It may have been touched on briefly, but do you envision cross-pollinating with fine artists such as those who study or are inspired by or feature native plants?
Ooh, yes, that would be fun. Our focus is student work, but we would love hosting more workshops and bringing in professionals that could help guide that process, inspire, networking. Absolutely. So if that person in Zoom is one of those folks, reach out.
They say will do.
Love it. Yeah.
So you might want to check with the Schmidt Family Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah, they have pretty deep pockets. They'd be really interested in this.
Great. We had a comment about the Schmidt Family Foundation to connect. Thank you. Yeah.
A lot of going on and considered having people instead of, if they want to identify bees for maybe some different purposes, just sticking them in the fridge for a couple of hours and taking pictures of them.
We do a mix. Yes. Yeah, in some cases, we are euthanizing in order to identify, but like that mark and recapture, those are that little mark doesn't harm. Bird surveys there is no take when we're observing birds and things like that. We could go in so many different ways. We had a student who's interested in lichens, for example. But for the insects, yeah, we have a mix of processes that so we can do our identifying. Yeah. Janet was first, I believe.
Yeah, thank you. So I have two questions. They kind of are related. How you had interest from the Xerxes Society regarding your project?
The question was, have we connected with the Xerxes Society? And actually, they offer these seed and plant pollinator kits. And so we've looked at potentially applying for that program but this was before we had really connected with Nicole and Schoen Farm. We thought, how are we going to get all these plants? So that is on the periphery and potentially more in the future.
Another organization I thought you might be interested in is the Sonoma County Beekeepers Association.
Oh, okay.
Because they either as volunteers or possibly financial. Want to check with them about the project.
Thank you.
More interest in native bees.
Yeah, they are. They're
That's
basically talking about pollination in
Great.
general, not just European honeybees.
Great. The comment was we should connect with the Sonoma County Beekeeper Society Association. Thank you.
They're a 501c3.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that they're thinking about native bees. Some folks don't even know that there are native bees other than the European honeybee. We had two questions and then a third over here. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Chart or graph that
Yeah.
I mean that was practically art as well, but I didn't know if maybe you wanted to share a little bit how you made that or talk a little bit more. It was really beautiful.
I didn't actually make that. One of the other interns that had worked on it. I'm sorry, I can repeat the question too. Oh, the question was that last graph that I had showed for the bee internship, how that was made. I didn't actually make it. One of the other interns had made it. I can't actually remember what program they had used for it, but it is an online free program and it has like a lot of different graph variations and stuff that you can choose from, and they all are absolutely beautiful. I can check that out in just a moment. I can let you know.
Yeah, my question was for Elizabeth, and I was wondering about the volunteer program. How many kids do you get typically per month, and who organizes it? A lot of organization.
Yeah, so the question was how many students frequent our volunteer work days. So I would say a soft average is maybe 15 to 20, maybe. This past year though, every time I've gone, I see a couple more students, a couple more members of faculty. So who organizes it? Jennifer and Caprice, the directors of our Campus Biodiversity Initiative.
Yeah, I've got to give all the credit to Jen. Jen is primarily, that is something she oversees. She runs the email list, which is a whole thing. And she also spends time on creating flyers. We are hesitant to broadcast across all of campus because we're not sure we're ready if the masses came. But we are thinking about ways we can scale up. And actually, you might be a great person to talk about with your invasive species program. And do we limit folks and how do we keep track? Right now, it's very flexible. It's kind of with flyers around Baker Hall and folks hearing about it. If we were to announce it to all of campus or even more broadly to the community, we have to make sure we're ready. Yeah, that's a big thing to consider. Yeah, great question. Yeah, we are keeping. I think we had. Look, I think the last we looked, over 150 unique students, but that might have been for 2004 or 24 only. So a lot of unique folks. Some people are coming back, but we get new folks too. And yeah.
I am wondering if you've done any connecting of the onion to the culinary program. The culinary program and the native programs.
The question was connecting to culinary programs, the onion, acorns. That's great. We haven't yet. Although one comment I can make is on our new garden, we're not sure yet if edible plants will be emphasized very strongly for liability reasons. We're still looking into making sure, you know, if there are any plants in that garden that are not safe to eat, we wouldn't want folks to be kind of roaming around picking things if they weren't sure what they were picking. But that's a great idea. And connecting with SRJC's culinary department, which is huge and growing, would be a lovely thing to do. Yeah, great idea.
I would like to say that Baker Hall was named after Milo Baker, who was the first botany teacher at the junior college. And one of our founding members, Vanette Bunyan, we have a bench there. Is Vanette's bench still there?
Do you know where?
Well, it was right around Baker Hall, right around, you know, one of those arches.
We do have a few benches with placards, but I have to say I don't have the name.
Vanette Bunyan.
I will look. We have a few rocks. We have we do have some benches, but I will look.
She was a founding member and a steward.
Founding member and
student of Milo Baker's. And so she was the one who suggested we name the chapter after him. Wow.
Yeah, so the comment was that Milo, the Baker Hall at SRJC was named after Milo Baker, our founding, the name that the person that our chapter is named after. Yeah, and one of the first botany student instructors at the JC. Yeah, what a cool connection. Violets, lovely. Yeah.
One more connection for you on Zoom. The California Global Biodiversity Alliance is inviting reports of all biodiversity efforts in California and to help publicize them.
Great.
CalGBA.org.
Repeat the name of that one more time.
It's the California Global Biodiversity Alliance.
Okay, California Global Biodiversity Alliance. Great.
Both California
and global. Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
I will look into it. That's phenomenal. That sounds great. Yeah. And so potentially this could be a model for other campuses. And we're thinking about how we might expand or how we might help other campuses. So we're hoping to present at the CNPS state conference in February. We haven't heard, I think we hear back at the end of this month about abstracts. So We'll find out. Okay, thank you guys.